Welcome to the Daily English News Program on Azerbaijan television with the most important events of the day. A session of the Council of CIS Heads of State was held in Burabay town, Akmola province of Kazakhstan. President Ilham Aliyev attended the session.
President of Kazakhstan Nursultan Nazarbayev welcomed Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev. Then Nursultan Nazarbayev welcomed the other heads of state who arrived in Kazakhstan to attend the session of the Council of CIS Heads of State. A photo of the presidents was taken. The event started with a session of the Council of CIS Heads of State in a limited format. Welcoming the participants, President Nursultan Nazarbayev congratulated the President of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko, on his re-election and congratulated the people and President of Kyrgyzstan on successful results of the parliamentary election. The head of Kazakhstan state noted that as the chair of the CIS, his country was making efforts to develop cooperation among the member states. Nursultan Nazarbayev said CIS was a good platform for cooperation of 11 states, offered favorable opportunities to discuss various issues. I'm sure that today's event will contribute to the development of CIS, deepen cooperation among the countries, said President of Kazakhstan, and added that 17 issues had been included into the agenda of the meeting. Most part of the meeting was dedicated to security and laws. A package of international treaties will be signed, program documents approved. The heads of state will issue a statement on fighting against international terrorism on the 70th anniversary of the UN. Stressing the importance of the documents, Nursultan Nazarbayev said adoption and realization of the documents would contribute to strengthening of cooperation. President of Azerbaijan Ilham Aliyev addressed the meeting of the Council of CIS Heads of State in a limited format. Expressing his gratitude to Kazakhstan's President Nursultan Nazarbayev for organizing the event on the highest level, the head of state said the outcomes of the meeting would contribute to the cooperation. President Ilham Aliyev congratulated President of Belarus Alexander Lukashenko on the successful presidential elections and President of Kyrgyzstan Almazbek Atambayev on the parliamentary elections. President Ilham Aliyev touched on several issues. First of all, the head of state underlined the necessity of seeking new forms of mutual economic activity. Commodity turnover among the CIS states has reduced. Most national currencies of the CIS member states have lost their value. As we are making transactions in dollars, this is immediately reflected negatively in the statistics. Therefore, I would like to join Vladimir Putin's idea of switching to the national currencies in transactions, said President Ilham Aliyev, adding that it would allow preventing financial risks, strengthen our national currencies, and facilitate economic integration. President said seeking new forms of economic cooperation, strengthening new forms of the new economic model was a priority for our states. Noting that Azerbaijan was taking an active part in the issues on transport security, President Ilham Aliyev called on all CIS members to join Azerbaijan's initiatives and initiatives put forward jointly with some members of the CIS. Mentioning that the first container trainer was delivered from China to Azerbaijan via Kazakhstan in August, Ilham Aliyev said this corridor was of great geopolitical importance. Added that it would facilitate much closer integration of the countries located on this route, as well as near this transport route. We are working actively on the North-South Corridor project. Serious agreements have already been reached with the Russian Federation and Iran. Concrete decisions have been passed to accelerate the process of uniting our railroads. This is the most comfortable and shortest road uniting big markets of China, India, Iran, Azerbaijan, Russia and Europe, said President Ilham Aliyev, and called on partner states to join the project. President of Azerbaijan said investment would be welcome. Ilham Aliyev also said joint work could be done to mobilize new cargoes for the highway to be fully operational in the coming 2 years. President Ilham Aliyev also touched on strengthening security measures in the region, saying that no country could feel fully secure without the world community cooperation in the fight against terrorism. President Ilham Aliyev said most CIS countries felt what the international terrorism was, and the threat brings direct risks to the countries of the region. The head of state declared that fight against international terrorism should be priority for all countries, and the goal could be reached only by mobilizing efforts. Of course, there exist serious external reasons, financing of some groups, terrorist groups, but there are also internal reasons. Internal reason is poverty. This is illiteracy, backwardness, radicalism, fundamentalism, social injustice. If these objective reasons do not exist in a country, it means that despite external attempts, it would be very difficult to create a basis for terrorism there, said President Ilham Aliyev. The head of state said strengthening socio-economic security, mobilizing efforts to solve issues and fighting against terrorism were the top priorities. Being regional countries, we want to live at peace and in the atmosphere of understanding. We want to develop. We want children to be well educated and healthy. For this, we need security. Ilham Aliyev said and underlined that Azerbaijan would further make efforts to fight against the international terrorism. Addressing the expanded meeting, President of Belarus Alexander Lukashenko handed the oath of people's friendship to President of Kazakhstan Nursultan Nazarbayev for his contribution to the friendship of peoples and states within CIS. Nursultan Nazarbayev said issues on the further development of CIS had been discussed at the meeting in the limited format, noted that CIS should act in line with the recent global changes. Therefore, one of the issues discussed at the meeting was the international security. President of Kazakhstan underlined the importance of creating a network for fighting against international terrorism under the UN's consent, said the potential of the CIS Anti-Terrorism Center should be used efficiently. He said the statement of the CIS heads of state on fighting against international terrorism on the 70th anniversary of the UN was of great importance. Chairman of the Executive Committee, Sergei Lebedev, said the agenda and regulations of the meeting in a limited format had been approved. Two important statements of the CIS heads of state on the 70th anniversary of the UN and fight against international terrorism issued. It was decided to hold the next meeting of the Council of CIS heads of state in Kyrgyzstan on September 16, 2016. Then the statement of the heads of state on the 30th anniversary of the disaster at Chernobyl atomic power station was discussed. After Minister of Emergency Situations of Belarus Vladimir Vashenko gave information, it was offered to deliver to the world community the joint statement on the 30th anniversary of the disaster, and a relevant decision was passed. Candidacies of the chiefs of CIS Council of Security and Intelligence Services and Air Defense Coordination Committee were approved. Documents were signed at the end of the meeting of the Council of CIS Heads of State. Discussion of enhanced cooperation among the member states, ongoing global processes and important decisions passed at the meeting of the Council of CIS Heads of State in Kazakhstan showcased the importance of the event. Kyrgyzstan took over CIS chairmanship from Kazakhstan. Then, President Ilham Aliyev attended the working lunch hosted on behalf of President of Kazakhstan Nursultan Nazarbayev in honor of CIS Heads of State. President of Azerbaijan Ilham Aliyev ended his working visit to Kazakhstan on October 16th.
The parliamentary elections that will take place on November 1st will be observed by more than 38,000 local and 222 foreign observers from 19 international institutions.
During the meeting of the Central Election Commission, the minutes of the meeting that took place on October 8 and 9 were approved, and the authorized representatives of UMID Party were registered. The chairman of the Commission, Mazar Panahov, informed about pre-election preparation works and activities directed at raising the awareness. On total, candidates from 22 political parties were registered for the elections. The chair of the Commission informed about the number of observers who will participate in the elections. Afterwards, the composition of some district election commissions were changed. The incoming appeals were reviewed.
Regional public hearings aiming to study the state of implementation, promotion and application of the National Action Plan to raise effectiveness of the protection of their human rights and freedoms in Azerbaijan, raise awareness among the people on the election law came to end.
Addressing the event on the outcomes of the public hearings organized by the Human Rights Commissioner's Office and Central Election Commission, Human Rights Commissioner Elmira Suleymanova briefed on the work done to ensure human rights, including voting rights. She said the events on raising awareness held in various regions had been attended by the representatives of executive authorities, municipalities, election constituencies and NGOs. The main topics of discussion were protection of human rights and freedoms, observers' rights and duties, preparations for elections, activity of constituency and pressing election commissions, technical provision of polling stations. Head of the administration of the Human Rights Commissioner's Office, Aydin Safikhanlı, spoke about the democratic, legal and socio-economic reforms carried out in the regions. He said the programs implemented in the sphere regarded human rights and freedoms as major criteria. The representative of the Central Election Commission, Faik Bashirov, gave information about the events and raising awareness on the clauses of the election code, rules of voting and other issues. He said that socio-economic stability in the country allows holding the parliamentary elections in line with the requirements of the legislation.
Some amendments will be introduced to the tax code. The respective draft law was discussed at the meeting of Milli Meclis Committee on Economic Policy.
The major part of the amendment proposed to the tax code is directed at the expansion of rights of taxpayers, reducing the tax burden, improving tax administration and increasing the budget revenues. The chairman of Milli Meclis Committee on Economic Policy, Ziad Sametzadeh, said that the gradual expansion of the financial capacity of the country increases the volume of the funds entering the state budget via the Ministry of Taxes year by year. Minister of Taxes Fazil Mammadov underlined that a number of changes were made to the income tax of natural entities and said it will cover around 500,000 persons working in the budget organizations and other companies. The provisions related to the taxation of prizes from sports gambling games will also be introduced to the code. A tax of 10% at the source of payment is foreseen in the draft law. Fazil Mammadov also informed that part of the changes related to the exemption from taxes, while some dealt with the property tax of legal entities. The draft law proposes to exclude the satellites and other space objects from the property tax. Tax will also be imposed on the lines transferring products. Another change was granting the right of simplified taxpayer for those who are engaged in the construction. It was proposed that the supervision over the circulation of products marked with excise stamps on the territory of Azerbaijan should be within the obligations of the Minister of Taxes. Deputy Minister of Finances Azar Bayramov said that the amendments are vital and important. Other parliamentarians addressed the meeting and said that amendments will positively impact the favorable investment climate in the country, improvement and simplification of tax administration, and increase of tax revenues. The draft law was proposed for review at the plenary session.
Chairman of the Investigative Committee of the Russian Federation, Alexander Bastrykin, visited the Aliyev Center.
Chairman of the Investigative Committee of the Russian Federation, Alexander Bastrykin, was informed about the Aliyev Center, a rare jewel of the world architecture. The guests viewed the service cars which were used by the nationwide leader during different years. The guests also got acquainted with the Aliyev Museum established within the center. It was brought to the attention that the museum was commissioned on the 90th anniversary of the nationwide leader Aliyev. The gathered information is conveyed to the visitors in an interactive form. In the museum, Aliyev's life path, interesting facts about nationwide leader are delivered via photos and videos. The museum is distinguished not only with its shape, but also with the originality of its content. The guest was informed about the exhibition Jewels of Azerbaijan. It was pointed out that the exhibition features the unique exhibits reflecting the history and cultural heritage of the country. The Russian guest viewed Mini Azerbaijan exhibition hall and was informed that this project is important in terms of promoting the historical and architectural monuments of Baku and the regions.
Chairman of the Investigative Committee of the Russian Federation, Alexander Bastrykin, visited Baku State University.
Chairman of the Investigative Committee of the Russian Federation, Colonel General of Justice Alexander Bastrykin met with the faculty and students of Baku State University. Addressing the event, Rector of the University, Abel Mahramov, stated that the visit will positively impact the relations between the two countries. It was outlined that Colonel General is the author of more than 120 scientific works on different areas of the state and law. Afterwards, Professor Kamil Salimov informed the students about the biography, social and political activities of Colonel General. Alexander Bastrykin addressed the students with the report on the topic on the activity of Investigative Committee of the Russian Federation at a modern stage, main issues, problems and their solutions, and international cooperation, the criminal liability of legal entities. Afterwards, the questions of the students were answered.
Visiting Chairman of the Investigative Committee of the Russian Federation, Alexander Bastrykin, was at ASAN Service Center number 3.
The guests got acquainted with the activity of ASAN Service Center and was informed about the work procedure. It was outlined that ASAN, being an Azerbaijani brand, pursues the goals of ensuring convenience and transparency for citizens, application of modern technologies, forming a new way of thinking with regards to the state-citizen relations. The guest was informed that the services are intended for all citizens, regardless of their place of registration, and are also rendered in a mobile form. The center also provides functional auxiliary services. After getting acquainted with the center, the guest highly assessed the activity of the center.
That was all for today. Thank you for being with us. Goodbye.